Pretty interesting stuff. In our next topic, we're going to talk about the problem with these Tesla price cuts and why too many of them or too much of them is going to have adverse or negative effects with the brand, consumer psychology, and much, much more. So we'll talk about it because Tesla's, they've been doing this for a while now, at least the past 6 months across the world in different markets with price cuts. And so it's going to have an effect, maybe not initially, or I mean, it definitely will have an effect initially with sales ramping up, but long-term effects, I guess it's to be discovered. So let me know what you thoughts about this. But if you're just joining in, my name is Dennis. I love talking about Tesla hacking, as I like to call it, but basically just getting the best behind Tesla at the best financing rate. So definitely hit that subscribe if you're interested. So let us take a look at this. Shout out to James Cat, Tesla Fan Mountain on Twitter. This person, I'm assuming it's a he. Yeah, James. I really feel like he's one of the only people that are against the Tesla price cuts in a sea of everybody kind of commending Tesla for a bunch of these price cuts. But he went on a Twitter thread, 9-part, 12-part Twitter thread, 15-part Twitter, 16-part Twitter thread, and where he went on a bunch of things about why, Tesla price cuts, while it might be a good short-term strategy, might not necessarily be a good long-term strategy, and why advertising and, things like advertising and media awareness might be a lot better. So I pretty much read all through this and I summed it up, and I'm going to sum it up for you all. But definitely check out James Cat, and shout out to James Cat for posting his thoughts on this, because there's definitely not this viewpoint on Twitter that, from what I've seen, and really he's kind of just leading the charge on it. But the first thing is, constant price cuts may lead to diminishing returns, as consumers may delay their purchases, putting pressure on Tesla's inventory, which may then result in future price cuts, creating a positive feedback loop. I mean, I 100% agree with that. I see it a lot with all of your comments, with all of you coming into the live stream. You keep asking like, oh, price cut just happened, do you think another one's coming? Or I just bought one, or I just ordered one, do you think another price cut's coming? And so now I feel like people with orders, people that just bought one, are conditioned to Tesla's strategy, especially if you watch this channel, and especially if you follow any sort of Twitter or any sort of social media on Tesla. You just see constantly, at least in the past like 6 months, just price cuts, incentives, and price cuts. And so this is going to have an adverse effect potentially on consumer psychology. And so the number 2 point that pretty much summed up for this was, constant price cuts attract attention to price rather than the value of the product, which may dilute brand equity. And I 100% agree with that, because now with price cuts, we just literally focus on how much it costs. I mean, as a consumer, we pretty much already do that, but instead of focusing on Tesla's brand value and all the different aspects like lower maintenance, driving an electric vehicle, saving money on that, the technology and all those things play into an effect of buying a Tesla. The third point that I was able to sum up from this was, constant price cuts may reduce the residual value of Tesla's fleet and put its customer loyalty at risk. Yes, we're seeing that already right now, when Tesla did that massive price cut in January by $13,000. like, that has an effect on the insurance, like the value of your vehicles, like your assets, not your assets, but when you insure your Tesla, and let's say in a for whatever accident it gets into some sort of fender bender, and you potentially will lose even more money on your Tesla because it is now into some sort of accident and is more depreciated than before. I mean, vehicles already are a depreciating asset, and so the value of a vehicle, even if Tesla price cuts it, it's just going to accelerate it even more. But we're going to certainly get into a cycle, or we're going to get back to where when you drive off a lot, you're going to lose 20-30% of the vehicle, and within 4 to 5 years, you're going to definitely lose 50% of the vehicle. I mean, I see comments all the time where people just bought their Tesla and they're upset now that their vehicle has lost money, but that's kind of just how it was before all of the past couple of years. And so you're supposed to lose money on your vehicles. You're not necessarily supposed to make any sort of profit after buying your vehicle. So the fourth point that James had in kind of in where they should position to a more different strategy is that Tesla should focus on educating customers about the benefits of electric vehicles rather than constantly reducing prices. This would cement Tesla's leadership and help it attract more customers. And so what James, I think, is really pointing at is that Tesla should do more advertising and not necessarily social media advertising, because they have ramped up a lot more social media posts on Twitter, maybe Instagram, and maybe YouTube with video explainers, but there really has never been a Tesla TV commercial. And I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Social media is probably the next wave of advertising that is more effective, or the current wave of advertising that's more effective versus TV and radio and things like that. But I don't think it wouldn't hurt to have some sort of commercial on television. But at the same time, a lot of other legacy automotive, other brands do advertise on Tesla, do advertise on electric vehicle anyways. And so there could be a case in which, because those other brands do advertising for Tesla, then it will just do advertising for their electric vehicles, it would lift up Tesla's search history no matter what, because that's like the biggest name compared with an electric vehicle. And the last point is Tesla should consider spending a few $1,000,000 on advertising to increase demand instead of constantly cutting prices, which may have a long-term financial cost. And so I kind of agree with that. Like, if they were to invest into a television that could get more eyeballs onto it, that it could start more people lower down in the funnel, like younger buyers that see the brand, that want to buy it, that want to know about their features. But I feel like Tesla as a brand name is pretty much worldwide known and has a great awareness on it. So I think it's more so a fact of affordability at the end of the day, which Elon has came out recently saying that, responding to that. So we'll talk about it, but definitely some pretty interesting stuff. Let me know what your thoughts on it. Thank you to James Cat or Tesla Fan Mountain for posting this and being a voice on the other side, because there's a lot of people that love price cuts, but it does have adverse effects, especially with customer loyalty and brand trust, I guess, at the end of the day, which is not good from what I think. But we're going to jump into our next topic. But before we do that, this video is actually sponsored by my Patreon link. Down below in the description is a Patreon link where you can support the channel, so definitely check it out if you're interested.